This is the Falkirk Trice Festival 2021 in association with Falkirk Arts Network, and we're opening up with the Big Band Theory playing Take the A Train. Okay, folks, thanks for joining us on this virtual broadcast. My name is Barry Smart. I live in Falkirk, and I'm one of the trombonists with Big Band Theory.
And I'm John Patterson, and I'm also a trombonist with Big Band Theory, and I also live in Falkirk. As Barry said, that was Take the A Train. It was composed in 1939 by Billy Strayhorn, and became the signature tune of the Duke Ellington Orchestra. Billy Strayhorn himself was a well-known American jazz composer, pianist, lyricist, arranger, best remembered for his long-term collaboration with Duke Ellington that lasted for nearly 3 decades.
Brilliant. And I just the name Take the A Train, John, I hear the story goes that Strayhorn was traveling to New York to see Duke Ellington not long after he kind of started collaborating with him. Strayhorn lived in Pittsburgh, so he was new to New York. So Duke Ellington sent him some directions to get to his house, and the first direction he was given was to take the A train, which was one of the subway lines in New York. So that's where the name comes from. Okay, John, I think we're staying in roughly the same era, if not with Duke Ellington, I think, for the next number. Do you want to just tell us a wee bit about it, and then we'll let it rip?
Absolutely, yeah. The next number is also a Duke Ellington standard, composed in 1942. Duke Ellington was an American composer, pianist, and the leader of the absolutely great Duke Ellington Jazz Orchestra, which he led from 1923 until his death in 1974. The Duke Ellington Orchestra did tour Europe a couple of times in 1933 and in 1967, but they spent most of their time on the eastern side of the USA. They were based around the New York area. So Duke Ellington's remembered for over 3,000 songs that he composed during his lifetime. Titles like "It Don't Mean a Thing If It Ain't Got That Swing," "Sophisticated Lady," "Mood Indigo," "Solitude," and "Satin Doll." But we are now going to go ahead and we'll hear "Sea Jam Blues."
Brilliant. Thanks, John. Here it is. Okay, so that was Sea Jam Blues. I guess it was a big band adaptation of the original, John, and of course played by Big Band Theory. So maybe it's a good time for us to have a bit of a chat about Big Band Theory, and it's a relatively new band, and I thought it'd be interesting for the folks to hear about how the band came into being and a bit of background about it. Do you mind just telling us that story, John?
Okay, that's not a problem. Falkirk, since the Second World War, has had a tradition of having dance bands. There have been dance bands around. People may remember people like Boston Glegg, Bruna Corda, and in the 1970s, we had a great character in the town, a guy called Tom Shearer. I was very lucky that at the age of 12, I got to know Tom Shearer because I did a paper run. He had a paper shop in High Station Road, and I did a paper run for him for several years. So he knew that I was learning to play the trombone at school. And when I was about 16, 17, he invited me to actually go and play with his big band, which was a fantastic opportunity for a young guy. Everyone else in the band was old enough to be my dad, but I played with the Tom Shearer band for the next 10 years or so. Unfortunately, Tom died, and the band continued for several years after that, but eventually it was wound up in the 1990s. So this tradition that Falkirk had of dance bands faded out in the 1990s, and it was in early 2018 that I was chatting to a good friend of mine, Stevie Gray, who plays trumpet. And I said to Stevie, look, I think Falkirk could really do with having a big band again. I said, how would you feel about being part of that? He says, count me in. He said, I'm up for that, it'd be great. So at that point, each of us phoned some more of our friends, and before we knew it, we had the basis of a big band together. Now, that's no mean feat, actually, because you may know that the lineup of a big band, these days, it's going to be 5 saxophones, 4 trumpets, 4 trombones, piano, bass, drums, and guitar. So it's a big lineup. Back in the old days, you know, the dance bands, they possibly had 1 or 2 trombones, but it gradually grew. They had maybe 2, 3 trumpets and maybe 3 or 4 saxes. But it gradually grew to the point that we had this full big band lineup. And it's a tremendous achievement, I think, that by simply going on to friends and friends of friends, we very quickly got the basis of a big band together. So we started rehearsing around about April 2018. And we rehearsed because really for us, to be perfectly honest, the enjoyment is in the rehearsals. It's none of us are in this for the money. You couldn't possibly be in a big band for the money, because the amount that people can afford to pay to hire a band just doesn't cover 18 people. So we're all in it because we love it. We're in it because we love the music, and we're in it because we love the rehearsals, and we're all great pals, and we get on really well, and we all look forward to rehearsal night on Tuesday night. So we took a year to get round to organising our first gig, and our first gig was actually at the Falkirk Festival last year in 2019. So we did do a small short stint at the switch on of the Christmas lights prior to that, but that was our first main gig, and it was a tremendous success. And
yeah, we packed a hall, didn't we, John? It was
we did.
pretty much standing room only. It was a great night. Yeah, really enjoyed
so
that.
that's where we're coming from. We do it because we love it, and it's really as simple as that.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, just to add my kind of personal note to that, I think I was about a generation behind you, John, joining
Oh, thank you.
Archie Grasham's Archie Grasham picked up from Tom Shearer, who you mentioned earlier, and I joined his band, and I was a wee bit older than 12, to be fair, when I joined. I think I was about 18, but you know, at that stage, I drastically reduced the average age of the band because, you know, they'd all been in the Second World War. The stories these guys had to tell was amazing. A great bunch of characters, and I loved it. You know, playing the songs that my gran used to play on a record player when I was even younger and let me hear. I was suddenly bringing to life with these guys that had been there and done it as well. And in the interim period, you know, I haven't been playing in big bands, so you know, when I got the call to come along and join the big band theory, I was delighted, and yeah, loving it. It's a great to be back playing in that kind of format. So yeah, we're moving forward, I guess, a wee bit nearer to present times, but not much. For our next number, John, it's about 20 years on. And yeah. Do you want to tell us a wee bit about this one?
Okay, we're moving forward to another great band. Hey Burner was composed by Sammy Nestico and recorded by the Count Basie Orchestra in 1968. Sammy Nestico used to say that he was an overnight success after 30 years working as a professional musician. So during his career, he arranged music for the Count Basie Orchestra, for the US Air Force, for the Marines, and he was actually a trombonist. He
all the
played
best
trombone.
People are, John, of course.
You're absolutely right. He played trombone with the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra, with Woody Herman, Gene Krupa, Charlie Barnett, and not only that, he not only had a bachelor's degree in music, he had a doctorate in music, and at the end of his career, he was a professor of music at the University of Georgia. So a great guy with a fantastic career over many, many years. And he composed our next number, Hey Burner.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites, John. I just love listen out for the trombones. They've got some great licks in this one. So hope everyone enjoys it. Here we go, Hey Burner. So that was Hey Burner, as John said earlier, composed by Sammy Nestico, and that version we played there is pretty much identical to the original recording by Count Basie and his orchestra, as you would hear on the Basie Straight Ahead album, which is a classic big band album. So as John was saying earlier, you know, big bands have been present in Falkirk pretty much since the Second World War, and filled by people who were in the services during the war, and John and I were lucky enough to sort of play with these guys. And I guess, you know, today is quite an important day, John, in regards to the Second World War, and I thought you might want to reflect on that when you introduce the next number.
Yeah, our next number is American Patrol, and American Patrol was a popular march, actually, written by F.W. Meacham in 1885. It was originally composed for piano and then arranged for a wind band in 1891. But it was when Glenn Miller and his band recorded the Jerry Gray arrangement in 1942 that it became the classic that we all know and love. The sound of the Glenn Miller band will always make us think of the Second World War, and today is the 75th anniversary of VE Day, Victory in Europe Day. And we would like to dedicate our performance of American Patrol to all those who took part in that conflict, and particularly to those who didn't come home again.
the numbers we've played so far for you have been quite traditional kind of big band music that, you know, were created in the era when big bands were the big thing, I guess, John. And but I think it's important to note that our repertoire, I'm just looking at it here, I've got my trombone pad here, isn't limited to the 1940s, 50s and 60s. We've got some great numbers in our pad. I've got Stevie Wonder here, a bit of Barry Manilow, believe it or not. I've got some Earth, Wind and Fire. You know, it's quite common for modern pop, funk classics to be you know, adapted for big band. So we've got quite a diverse repertoire, and indeed the next number doesn't bring us quite bang up to date, but it's certainly a much more recent number that's been adapted for big band. I thought you would want to introduce that for us.
Yeah, the next number is a terrific number. It's called Birdland. It first appeared on the Heavy Weather album of the band Weather Report in 1977. It was then a hit for Manhattan Transfer.
I remember that. I remember that. Yeah.
And that one won a Grammy.
Yeah.
And it won 2 further Grammys for the Quincy Jones version in 1989. So it has become a standard part of the jazz repertoire. It's very, very popular with big bands and jazz bands around the world. This is Birdland.
Great stuff. That was the big band adaptation of Birdland. Really high energy stuff, that one, John. And actually, we usually finish our gigs with that number. It's a good one to finish up with, but we thought we'd put that in the middle of the set today. So we're gonna go from high energy and take it down a notch now and do a really nice ballad. John, do you want to introduce this one for us, please?
Yeah, this is a piece called "Two for the Road." It was written by Henry Mancini in 1967 for a film of the same name. It was a British romantic comedy starring Audrey Hepburn and Albert Finney. And although it's not as well known as some of the other Henry Mancini songs, like Moon River, Henry Mancini himself said that this was his favourite. So here it is, "Two for the Road."
So there we go. Henry Mancini's Two for the Road, and again some nice trombone features in the middle of that one, John. If you listen to the original, actually there's a violin solo in the middle of it, and it's actually the trombones that take over that in the big band arrangement with some really nice harmonies. I really enjoy playing that number. Anyway, so that's pretty much time nearly for us to finish up on this virtual event for the Falkirk Trice Festival. Listen, thanks very much everyone for tuning in. Remember, we're the first of hopefully many events that you'll come about online over the coming week. And you know, if you want to stay up to date with when and where you can join those events, I think the best place to watch is the Falkirk Arts Network Facebook page. So that should be up on the screen right now, just to remind you what that looks like and how to navigate to it. So it's been fun cobbling this event together, John. You know, we don't live far away, actually, a couple of 100 yards really. We've had to do this completely remotely, with kids walking around in the background and everything, but hopefully it's fun to watch. And you know, hopefully the next time you see us, it's not online like this. It's face to face. It's the band doing what it does best, playing live, hopefully in the town hall, and you're there to see us in the flesh. John, I'll hand over to you now, just to sort of introduce the last number, and we'll play out with that.
Okay, thanks, Barry. I'd just like to add my thanks to everybody for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. Our final number is back to the repertoire of the Glenn Miller Orchestra. They had a hit in 1940 with Tuxedo Junction. Although this is a more modern arrangement, it does retain much of the feeling of the Glenn Miller recording. So this is us signing off now. Thanks for listening, and please enjoy Tuxedo Junction.